at this meeting, and I will recall me posing the same question when I was in Darfur back in 2007. I was trying to make the different tribes in northern Darfur come to the table to negotiate. And I met the clan leaders in the northern Darfur, and then they told me something very strange. They said, we don't understand why peace is a better idea than war. Because we are fighting for our rights, and the government in Khartoum is not giving us those rights. So I said to him, well, why don't you tell me what peace is for you? What is it you want from peace? And then he answered, we want our boys to come home and of course not die out there, but we also want a health clinic with a midwife who can take care of the births in this village. And we would very much like for the boys to build a road between two villages. And above all, we want you to make a new well for us, because this well, fresh water, was destroyed by the militias who had thrown a dead dog in the well. And then we want, of course, to have the rights of our people respected. That was peace for him. And that reminded me of the time when I was President of the General Assembly, and we had a formula for peace which went beyond peace ending wars. We said there is no peace without development, but there is also no development without peace. And none of the above without respect for human rights. So we need to work with all three at the same time. They are all related. And that's why this initiative into peace is so good, because it relates to the fact that peace is not only ending wars, peace is also creating conditions that prevent war from breaking out. And there's so much of it right now. And of course, you don't have lasting peace if you don't have respect for human rights and the rule of law. So I think this also brings together the national and the international. Building a good and strong society at home is a contribution to peace. But we should also understand that a good international solution, a good international formula for ending conflict, for development, is also in the national interest of member states. A good international solution is in the national interest. Can you imagine if that becomes recognized in all the parliaments and by the editorial writers and others? We would change the world. And also conflicts. Conflict is not only, I would say this is the length of a conflict. But the Security Council particularly works mainly with conflicts here. When CNN is there, when people are dying in great numbers, and when we have these huge humanitarian crisis that we have to cover needs for. But we have to do much more from your position. Prevention, and we have to do much more post-conflict. It's like a person who's sick. You have to have convalescence period, but also prevention. So remember that the conflict life is much longer than we usually think of. Don't stick to the urgent phases. Make the conflict resolution prevention and post-conflict part of conflict. I will end with picking up where Peter Wallenstein, we were serving together in Uppsala, and he once asked me, why don't you try to give the reasons why you fail or succeed in negotiations? I think my friend Rolf Akers will recognize this. We have been in similar positions. And I was trying to be systematic. Maybe I've acted pretty spontaneously on what is the right thing to do in negotiations, mediation. But I got 4 reasons to fail or to succeed in negotiations, mediation. I dare say that you can perhaps apply that wider in life. The 4 reasons are the following. One is the word. All of you in this room, I'm practically sure, have as your most important tool to influence your word, your written word and your spoken word. And I don't think we spend enough time on the nuances and the coloring of the language, and the synonyms needed, and the enormous richness of language. This is, of course, the diplomat's main tool. And the lawyers, I would say, also. So that's number one, the word. Secondly, I would say timing. To choose the right time to act. We do often mistake by doing things too late. I've seen that far too often in the UN. But I would also say there are mistakes if you do things too early, particularly in negotiations where you have to make sure that you have the exact time. Second reason. The third reason is cultural sensitivity. And this, of course, is something we need not only in the international arena in today's world, but also in our own countries, where the world is inside our own countries. It's the same way as we, as a country, is in the world. And that cultural sensitivity, respect for religion and traditions and culture is absolutely crucial to establish trust. Because without trust, you cannot reach result in mediation negotiation. And then the last point is personal relations and your own personality. With age, I come to the conclusion that it's probably the most important part, that you establish that trust and that you stand on the side of truth and that you are faithful to your values and that you inspire respect and even sympathy. Although I must admit it wasn't easy to mobilize sympathy with Saddam Hussein when I negotiated here. But the story that I will finish with is the story of the carpet in Tehran. I was in Tehran during the Iran-Iraq War. I was very tired because they had kept on for 3 days on the same subject, no movement. And I missed out on the first point, language. It said, let's break up. I wanted to have a break to just, get some fresh air. But they translated that into Farsi, like I was traveling to the airport and the negotiations were over. So the foreign minister of Iran was very upset and said, what are you doing? You are supposed to make peace between Iran and Iran. What is it you really want to do if you don't want to negotiate? And then I leaned back and I said, well, since this is the end of my diplomatic career, I might as well think, what is it I want to do? So I said, I want to see your carpet museum. I've never been to this carpet museum. It's supposed to be a fantastic museum. So in the end, I ended up with a museum with 2 of the delegates from the Iranian side. After that 3-hour visit to that fantastic museum, I recommended home, they came into the room with the foreign minister with me, and then they pointed to me and said, this is our friend. In other words, I had pushed the button of cultural sensitivity. Here, a person from Northern Europe comes there, and what he really wants to do is to see the carpets made by the grandparents who, as child labor, had made those carpets. And that was the key. So that brings back the human dimension, which I think NTP stands for. And let us remember that the UN Charter, which I always carry in my pocket, has its first 3 words, we the peoples. We are here to serve the peoples, and we have to listen to their voices. Thank you very much.